Welcome to Wednesday Inspirational Book Lounge. I'm Anna Murby, your host. This season, we're reading Mephibosheth, A Twisted Life of Unexpected Grace and Mercy, the true story of a medically fragile child whose life became a living testimony of God's grace. This book invites us into a story of deep love and brokenness, revealing how God's mercy often shines brightest in the most fragile lives. Enjoy the episode.
Mephibosheth, A Twisted Life of Unexpected Grace and Mercy, by Chaplain Aaron. Read by Hubert Carl. Chapter 8. Carjacked! The trying of your faith works patience. James chapter 1, verse 3. Life Ministry. Life Ministry has a heartbeat of its own. Each unique home-based ministry is no different, operating at a rhythm of divine appointment and mundane chores. Today was a normal, glorious day in Citrus Heights, a kind of northern California afternoon where the air feels scrubbed clean by morning breeze. It was a classic spring day. The almond blossoms had transitioned from their brief snowy bloom to small, hard green buds on the trees. The squirrels were scampering about on every corner of the city, their bushy tails twitching with seasonal energy. The bees were actively pollinated the late clover blooms, oblivious to the humans scurrying about them. Of course, this season's beauty also meant that the infamous cottonwood trees would start their nefarious way of choking the life out of every sinus on the planet. To the uninitiated, it looked like a dream. To the local, it was a biological hazard. Pollen season had turned the rural landscape into a white-dusted snow seam that was fit to shut down your own breathing. Despite the itchy eyes and running noses, everyone smiled through the haze. It was the prettiest time of year, and every soul was grateful for the break from the march that had come in like a lion and went out like a lamb. Pale legs, hidden all winter, suddenly sprouted from leftover early 80s running shorts, the kind with the white piping and the dangerously short inseams. Some of those legs even rode their Schwinn 10-speed bikes with zealous energy down Sunrise Boulevard. This was a great day to get out and live the best days of the year. It was also a great day to get out of the cooped-up nature of the home and grab some lunch. The Feast of the Godfather. Navigating the El Dorado down the block may seem simple for us folks who were born in the next millennium, but it was a true quest for this family's outing. The goal was the most impressive Godfather's Pizza. To describe the feast that awaited the visitor to this 1983 family restaurant was to describe a meal par none. Stepping inside was like entering a sanctuary of dark wood and stained glass. The air was a heavy, delicious fog of toasted yeast, spicy pepperoni, metallic tang of the fountain machine working overtime. To the left, a couple of arcade machines, Pac-Man and Space Invaders, chirped and blooped, providing the soundtrack to the suburban afternoon. The tables were draped in heavy red and white checkered vinyl that always felt slightly tacky to the touch, a souvenir of 1,000 previous spells. It was Wednesday, and there was a special on the combination pizza deals. It also included a trip to the salad bar, which featured giant wooden bowls of iceberg lettuce and those tiny rock-hard croutons. Dale was really glad for those small blessings. You see, when you ordered a large combination pizza from Godfather's, you were convinced that you had enough toppings to feed the 5,000 on the shores of Galilee. It was a mountain of meat and extra cheese that defied the laws of gravity. The garlic-buttered crust was so thick and mouth-watering that you had better wear a bib before you began, or you'd drench yourself with golden oil. Oh, one pities all those other pizza store chains that offer flavored cardboard painted with paper-thin decorations, which they call toppings. At Godfather's, one arrived at the best of fare. One sat back in the high-backed booths and became well fed. After most of the heavenly servings were shared, and the endless, free-flowing Coca-Cola had drenched the soul, With satiating flavor of carbonated syrup, this small herd of humanity sat back with uncomfortable contentment. Every adult rubbed their extremely full tummies, and a few burps resounded with giggles from the kids. A paper plate was commandeered and wrapped in aluminum foil to cap the couple of slices ready for tomorrow's hungry horde. Now it was time for the arduous task of reloading a very particular quasi-medical transport vehicle, the tuna boat. The legend of the tuna boat. Retired pastor Glenn Lehman, who attended Carmichael Bible Church and taught at the Sacramento Bible Institute, had given a huge four-door Cadillac Eldorado to the Luce family for their ministry. This was not just a car. It was a mobile, large cargo-toting vehicle that didn't just drink gasoline, it inhaled it. But it could support everyone. The back seat was a vast savanna of green Naugahyde vinyl that could easily carry 3 baby-sized car seats and 1 extra family friend. The front bench could manage in this order the driver, another baby seat, and another adult passenger. These heavy bench seats were so useful in every way, providing a soft floating ride that felt more like a boat on a calm lake than a car on the asphalt. This was a nifty solution for the short-distance traveler. Godfather's Pizza was only a whopping 5 minutes away from the home in Citrus Heights, and this gifted vehicle served their needs perfectly. Daylight robbery. Unbeknownst to Dale, Paul, and the entire entourage, there was the worst kind of trouble brewing right in the suburbs of River City. Across the street was the Twin Oaks Shopping Center, home to the Lucky's Grocery Store, Felipe's Mexican Restaurant, and a Bank of America. The bank was prepared with an armed guard ready to protect and defend. But a simple grocery store was a different story. This afternoon, a desperate fellow ran into the Lucky's Grocery Store there on Sylvan Road with a shotgun. He managed to hold up the quiet local supermarket in broad daylight. The man wore a baseball cap and mirrored sunglasses that made him think he was cooler than Eric Estrada on the show Chips. He had planned for smash and grab. Not at a bank, but at a store where security was lighter and the exits were clearer. Pointing his gun at the terrified cashier, he quickly garnished the till until he had a sizable paper grocery bag full of small bills. His plan was simple and in full effect. Then he ran out of the store into the blinding California sun. In his grubby hand, he clutched a crumpled paper bag filled with ones, fives, and other odd bills. Across the street, his eyes scanned the parking lot of the pizzeria for his next move. He spotted a short blonde lady walking into a large early 70s Cadillac. Yes, he must have thought this was the perfect exit vehicle. A tank on wheels that could punch through anything. He already knew that the freeway was a mere mile plus down the road. He ran directly from the open parking lot on the north side of the road, darting across Sylvan Road. A trail of fallen dollar bills marked his path like breadcrumbs of bad luck. The standoff. Dale had just finished loading 3 babies into the back seat of this huge land yacht. The kids loved this adventure of a car ride. The Cadillac suspension was so soft, it was like being rocked in a bassinet. As she was beginning to strap in the front car seat for the 4th child, leaning deep into the cavernous interior, a renegade approached. He brought with him a dangerous fervor, a crazy expression that radiated desperation. The steel barrel of the shotgun was the first sight Dale saw. When the hooligan reached the driver's front door, the metal was cold and dull, reflecting the midday sun. He grit his teeth at the sight of the 5-foot 1-inch soul on the opposite side, who was calmly buckling down the front infant. "Give me your car keys," he yelled, his voice slimy and demanding, cracking under the pressure of his own adrenaline. Dale froze. The world seemed to go silent. The sound of the distant traffic and the chirping birds faded into the background. "Give me your car keys and get out," he shouted again, glaring at her with wide, frightened eyes behind the mirrored glasses. Now, to tell you a bit about this amazing lady, you'll understand her reply. Dale is from Florida. She is the oldest of 3 girls, so she was always used to being in charge. Her mom was extremely rough disciplinarian. Naturally, she was used to always being scolded while simultaneously helping her little sisters. Being in trouble while caring for someone younger was second nature to her childhood experience. To Dale, this man wasn't a lethal threat. He was just an unruly force that she had to manage. The miracle of the back seat. The gunman waited impatiently for the expected response. The scream, the fumbling for the purse, the frantic scramble to get away. That response never came. Instead, he received a reply that shocked the callous criminal so much that he did not continue with his raid. Dale simply raised her eyebrows in a wide, motherly expression of sternness and pointed a finger towards the babies in the back seat. The man's gaze shifted. To his horror, he saw 1, 2, yes, 3 babies in the back. His eyes locked onto one that went down in the history books, Mephibosheth. The child had a twisted shape to his skull from a tumor, and as the man looked in, the little life opened his mouth with a giant sleepy yawn. Because of his cleft palate, the sound that came out was low, guttural chortle, a sound that could only be described as a terror movie sound bite to a man whose nerves were already frayed beyond breaking point. The shotgun-toting man was terrified by the scene. He looked at Dale, who remained as steady as a rock, then at the babies in the back, and finally at the infant in the front seat. He looked as if he had encountered a fierce mountain lion at the mouth of a cave, and it was ready to turn him into shreds. Dale didn't say a word. She just kept her eyebrows raised, and her finger pointed at the blessings in the back. He didn't want the keys anymore. He didn't want the car. He turned and bolted, running away from the tuna boat, as if the car itself were protected by something very supernatural. The aftermath. What the man saw or heard, only the good Lord knows. Paul was still inside cleaning up the last of the lunch napkins when he looked through the window and saw the tail end of the event. He ran out and inquired, "Who was that guy?" While Dale relayed the tale of the potential harrowing event, the distant sound of the Sacramento County Sheriff's cars began wailing toward the grocery store. The story unfolded with all the details as both Paul and Dale stood by the green Cadillac, were relieved to see how the strength of the Lord had protected them. One sheriff car made a quick drive across the road to check in with the nearly carjacked motorist. With a few added description details from Dale, who was remarkably calm for someone who had just stared down a shotgun, the officer radioed dispatch with extra notes. In the aftermath of this lunchtime caper, and with the cleanup of dollar bills strewn across the roadway by the afternoon breeze, the life returned to peace. It was a prayer of thanks that was shared that night, longer and more fervent than usual. The family was so glad to be home and in one piece. People get to see this type of wild ride in the movies or on the nightly news, but this was real life in the citrus ice. It was just another day in the care of God over precious children, proving that sometimes the greatest defense isn't a weapon, it's the silent strength of a mother and the innocent yawn of a child.
Thank you for joining us today. Make sure to come back next week for another installment of Mephibosheth, A Twisted Life of Unexpected Grace and Mercy.